Hi everyone. Good evening everyone. I want you to signal if you can hear me and you can hear me clearly. You can just signal by raising your hands. We won't be waiting for people at all. We need to get straight to business so we can cover a lot and enough in a short while. Okay, yeah, Timmy, thanks. So if you can hear me clearly, I want you to raise your hands. I just want you to signal so that I can know that you can hear me. Okay. So while we wait for more people, I would just brief us through what we want to discuss today. Ideally, a lot of people have asked different questions about, thrown these different questions to me about how joining tech and tech space feel like. So it's not going to just going to be about just joining tech. It's going to be a much more rounded discussion about the tech space and how it feels. So be prepared and you might want to take your pen and paper to note a lot of stuff. So we are going to discuss about the options you have, how you can join, and how to, decipher those options that you have. So these are the things that we are going to look at. We are also going to look at if you eventually have your options or if you eventually decide on the option you're going for. How do you get into that? How do you spread your wings? How do you eventually navigate yourself in the industry? I've had a lot of questions about. I just finished my first course. How do I go on from there? Yeah, we are going to discuss that today. We're also going to discuss how you want to monetize yourself eventually, and then how you want to transition into a much deeper tech space or tech career. So we are going to it's an holistic discussion, and we are going to cover everything today. Let's just give it a few more minutes before we dive into everything. So I'll give you a few more minutes. Okay, so while we wait, I'd like to let us know that we can also join the WhatsApp group just below this tech space tweets. Twitter space tweets. You can join our WhatsApp group for the questions you would want to throw. We might not be able to just keep switching on who are going to be speakers. However, we are going to take questions from our WhatsApp group. So it's okay to join the WhatsApp group right now so that we can have your questions. Okay, so let's get to it. I think we've waited enough. I don't want us to waste too much of our time. Our people that would want to join us later can join us. Okay, so let's get to it. A lot of people might have been wondering the tech space, and it's even funny that some people that are even in the tech space already still ask me questions about how do I really join the tech space. I feel like I'm not in the tech space. I feel like I'm just parabolating outside the tech space. So first and foremost, there is no like a marketplace where tech space people go and then they identify themselves as, oh, all of us that we are here, we are in the tech space. It is about getting the knowledge, the required knowledge is about getting the required skills and be able to solve problems using tech. Even if you might not want to see yourself as, I'm not a tech person, I'm not a tech. In as much as you're doing something through tech, you're solving people's problems through tech, you're gradually getting into the space. And in no time, you would find yourself very stable. So there is no like a gathering or an association that would certify you that you are in the tech space because of so and so. The major thing is for you to get something doing, get a career doing in the tech space. So another question I would like to also quickly address before I dive deep into things are now. Okay, so how do I eventually go ahead now that I've decided that I want to get into this tech space? Now we need to first identify some misconception So a lot of people come to me, even physically to my office, and parents come to me and say, I want my kid or I want my child to learn this, I want to learn that. The moment I start hearing something like, I just want my child to learn how to code or something like that, I immediately can spot something. Most cases, it is about the parents seeing someone that is maybe doing coding, and they just see that this person is successful or want to believe that this person is successful. And all of a sudden, they just want to force the child, or the person wants to force themselves into the coding space or into the tech space, majorly about the career they've seen someone do that is successful. So the decision of joining the tech space is not about, I've seen people that are successful in tech space, so let me go and join tech space. Let me to be and join tech space. I want to become a developer. I want to start coding because Uncle Lagwaja is coding, Uncle Tamedu is doing design, and I like it. And and I think they are making money from it. So it is not about that. You first need to know that yes, the successful career is about finances and stuff like that. Don't let anybody lie to you and say, hey, don't do it for money. Yeah, I would get to that part. We will talk about the money part, but yeah, the career of everybody, we have to take the finances very seriously. But before we get to the finances, we need to look at some things very carefully. Why am I going into this tech space? And if I really want to go, am I doing this because I just want to satisfy somebody? Or is this just a fantasy in quotes? Very important. If these are fantasies and stuff like that, you probably will dash in and dash out of tech space in no time. So I always want to implore my people that be very careful why you are going into the tech space. Because if you get into the tech space and you didn't just prepare yourself properly, know what reasons you're into this space for, you will dash in and dash out. And trust me, tech space is a space where it promises a lot of financial gains. However, if you're not careful, you can also lose a lot of finances. So you really need to be very careful. Why am I going into this space? Do I really need this? Or am I really prepared for this? Am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this because I think this is my next line of action? First, you need to strike that. If you're not doing it because brother so is has bought Benz, or uncle so have bought his house because it's in the state space, then I think you're getting closer to a very good decision. You really want to do this because you feel, yeah, I like this space, and I think I want to spend a very long time in this space. That is one. Number two, tech space is not about coding, and tech space is not even about being a computer pro. I've always said this and said this over and over again. We have non the pro, the computer pro you want to define in your head. We have a lot of roles that are not even associated with that kind of definition. Like those people that you see that they code, the ones you see that they do designs. We have people like sales experts that they are not even doing designs, that they are not even doing coding, and they are in the tech space. We have project managers for tech space, like they are, and then we have product managers as well. That these people are not even the coders or the designers that you think are just about the tech space. So you really need to understand what are your options of the tech space. What do I think I can easily relate with? Most especially when you're already doing something, you really need to be very sure that as I am transitioning, I mean, when you're already working, maybe you're already in a career before, and then you want to transition into tech space. Usually, it is easier, but if you don't do it right, it would seem harder. Usually, it is easier. For instance, if you are a marketer in your company and you want to transition. If you're a good marketer, normally the offline guy that is doing the marketing offline, if you're very good at that, if you should transition to digital marketing, or maybe you transition to media ad sales, you would break a lot of barriers that even people that you met in the tech space have not been able to break. You will make a lot of records for yourself. So these are the things you need to check. Understand your options, do your research, ask questions. Don't just say, I want to switch to tech space, and then you put tech space in just coding and non-coding, maybe design. No, there are a lot. Okay, I was talking to somebody recently. This person is a statistician, and she's looking to transition. And she was like, "What do I think?" I said, "We have something like yours already. We have data scientists, we have data analysts. Well, data scientists you have to code, but analysts and we have." About 4 or 5 data courses, like 2 or 3 of them or so. You don't even have to code. And she was like, "Oh, is that true?" I said, "Yes." And this is somebody that loves a job and looking to transition into tech. But it was like, hey, it's now that they said that tech is the new money, and I want to join tech. Are you sure I'm not going to be giving myself headache? Until you don't have to give yourself a headache. We have something like yours already. And I've always said this to people, for every non-tech role, there is most likely something similar in tech space. Even if your job is all these people that are empty latrines, there are tech companies that are doing it with tech right now, that if you bring your non-tech experience to them, it is gold. So I've always tell people, if you want to transition, check your option well. Be very, very careful. Know your options, because you don't want to get into that space and you just feel tired overnight. So that's that about that. You need to check your option. The number one, be very sure that you are doing this for yourself. Number two, check your options. And then your options, you can transition through your current career if you're already doing something. If you're not a fresher, or a fresh graduate, if you've not already started a career before, you can transition easily. If you still love what you're doing and you don't really want to change totally. If you want to change totally, of course, check your option and change totally. If you're a newbie, you've not even started your career, you want to still check your option. What do I think I can do? And even if you don't check your option, number three, get in some way. Do not over consume the information that you have. So what am I saying in this essence is this. For instance, when you're on Twitter, you always say, okay, let me use this example, because a lot of people have been asking me questions about AI recently. If you don't do this about AI, if you're not making $10,000 with ChatGPT, or if you are not doing this, if you are not doing that, and then you consume, you're seeing everything, and you let all of these things become a new target. You've read the one that they said this one will give you $10,000. You've read another one that will give you $50,000. At the end of the day, you will find yourself, I'm very sure a few of us have done this in this space right now. I'm very sure that you will buy this, buy that, buy this. And at the end of the day, you won't even finish one of those courses that you've bought. What you've done is this: you've over-consumed what you can even process. So when you're choosing, calm down, do your own due diligence, and consume. As you're consuming, filter. Because in our tech space, you will hear a lot of sweet stories. People will sell to you with the success they have not even achieved. Yeah. How I made $10,000 in a day. I'm not saying that there are people that make more than that. But for every time you want to make your choice, do yourself a favor, blind yourself or deaf yourself about the financial gain, and look at. So there is this new saying that we say the planet people before the profit. So like, what am I going to eventually offer the planet, or what solution am I trying to offer to the people? That is when you are going to be very assured of profits. But when you let people sway you away with, I made $10,000 in 24 hours, you are not going to be attentive to what you're supposed to take note of. So be very careful and filter a lot. when you're making your choices. And that is why when I'm talking to people, when I'm marketing my own courses to people, I don't even talk about what I've made. I don't even once upon a time, one guy was trying to tell me about crypto. He was trying to market crypto to me. I do crypto, but I'm not a boomer, or what do I call a boomer? People that always make noise about the new things in tech. I'm not a boomer. I might be doing something for the past 5 years, and I'll probably not discuss about it outside. I just don't really like all of this noise about AI. Is really funny. I mean, there are a lot of things that we've been doing with artificial intelligence as far back as 4 or 5 years ago that people are just finding out right now, and they're making noise about it. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's called booming. So this guy came to me and he was talking about, I think it was when Bitcoin did, I think 21,000 or so. And I was like, I'm not interested. I just don't want to discuss. I just don't want to have that discussion. And I was like, you're going to lose out. Mind you, I've been involved in Bitcoin since Bitcoin was $500. And this guy that is trying to sell to me is telling me how much he has made. Now, just imagine if I try to put into figure what I've done. I don't hold Bitcoin, I don't hold crypto. I just trade along. I mean, when finances move through cryptocurrency, I just trade along, and profit comes when loss comes. It's fine. But I'm not telling this guy that, oh, this is what I've made. But this guy is trying to tell me how much he has made. And it's so minute to me that I had to keep telling him I'm not interested. So when people are too much about you can make this, you can make that, is $50,000, is $1,000,000 that you're going to make. Well, I want to advise you, try as much as possible to unhear that part so that you can really, really squeeze the value you want to get, so that you are not going to be swayed away about the finances. It is not first about finances. So next thing, so that we don't take our time too much. Next thing you'll do is to make a decision, get the course, and then stick to the process. So one of the reasons why the YouTube and stuff that you've gone through is a little bit tedious than you expect it to be is because it is different processes that you're trying to consume. So if care is not taken, it's going to warn you out. You would be so tired of the different kind of strategies you're trying to swallow at a time. As an expert, you would know what to do. You will know exactly what you're looking for. But as a newbie, you're going to have a lot of challenge trying to decipher the each and everyone's different strategy. So if you've been wondering, if you've been thinking that you are the lazy person, if you've been thinking that you are not, maybe you're a slow learner, you're a bad learner, that's why you've not been able to like learn from YouTube. And everybody's shouting, I learned this from YouTube, I learned that from YouTube. No, it's not a problem. The problem is when you're trying to consume different strategies at a time, it's going to warn you out. You're going to get tired. You're going to get fed up. So that course that you keep buying, that you keep leaving, if it is not good enough, then leave it for good and get a good one. And stick to the process. Go through it and follow it. When you're going through the process, there are a few things that you must have ticked that is going to that is going to keep transforming you bit by bit. Now, part of sticking to the process is that you are going to have this we are in an era where our patience is really, really short. That is why everybody is trying to make sure that we are telling you that you can do this in this month, you can do this in that month. Okay, for instance, when people come to LearnPOD and say we want to do marketing in like in 4 weeks or in 1 month, I'm like, well, this is like a whole some package of digital marketing, from email to SEO to clicks to pay per click to social marketing, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and co. Do your LinkedIn. How do you cover all of this in 4 weeks? It's practically impossible. But because you do not want to accept that reality. And some of these people really just want to make money. So they just tell you, okay, it's 4 weeks that you want. Yeah, you can do it in 4 weeks. And then at the end of the day, you log in and then you see 200 and something videos. And you be like, oh, wow, how can I get this done in 4 weeks? And then the reality starts setting in. But because both you and your tutor have agreed 4 weeks, by the time you're doing 1 week and you see that you're not able to cover what you're expecting to do, you start getting discouraged. So, first and foremost, tech is not a get rich quick scheme. You really need to be patient, work on yourself, and then be productive. Now, you can be lucky while you're working on yourself and you get really nice starting gigs. And luck might not be on your side. You might not even see any gig until months after you are very good. So it is not a get rich quick shame. You really need to work on yourself. You really need to be an expert. And another stuff that I would quickly add to that is this: there are a lot of materials that you feel like, I cannot afford this. I think this is better. And that is why at LearnPOD, we always want to make sure that you can afford. So, in fact, sometimes we just make sure that we get some sponsors that can offer scholarships and stuff like that. So that, I mean, some of the students that have shown seriousness can get subsidized. So if you know for a fact that what I'm buying is not what I think I need, why not save that fund and then buy into a course and save it up, buy into a course that you feel much more convinced of? Instead of just buying, before you know, you buy, maybe how much did they sell it? Maybe 5,000, 2,000. You bought 10 of it. By the time you put everything together, the one of 30,000, 40,000 that you thought you couldn't afford, you've wasted the fund on all of the ones that you eventually didn't take, and you bought them. So you need to be very careful about the finances and why you're picking a particular course from a particular tutor or an academy. That's that about your choice of the course and why you're doing that course. Now, this question actually comes to me. So let me say this again now that we have more people on board. You can go right under this Twitter Space tweet. There is a link to a WhatsApp group where you can join and ask questions. We'll take questions immediately after after this briefing. So, as I was saying, let's get back to business. If you eventually, or when you eventually rather make your choice, you got into a course, and then most cases, even some of my students will ask me, okay, I think I like this course that I joined, but eventually I think I would like this other one better. Now, this happens a lot. I am an example. I mean, I experienced the same thing. But myself, it wasn't an intentional stuff. It's something that just happened to me. So this school I was supposed to start. I started my course, and I was supposed to join a mobile engineering class. It was year 2000, and GSM just got to Nigeria. My parents were futuristic, and they just want me to learn how to fix mobile phones, because I mean, is people are just using it. It will start getting damaged anytime soon, so that I can properly position myself for the market. So I enrolled into this physical class. And at the end of the day, for one reason or the other, long story short, I found myself in the computer engineering department. Do not forget, I wanted to learn mobile phone engineering. I found myself in the computer engineering, and it was a 6 month course. At the second month or so, I figured I was in the wrong class, and I was asked if I would eventually change. I really wanted to change, but I happened to be one of the best students of my tutor then. So the man called me and said, if you leave now, I will miss you. You know what? Don't you want to finish this? I said, it's just because I want to do computer engineering. And eventually, the man told me, you know what? Finish your computer engineering and you can still go ahead and do your mobile phone engineering since the school has eventually find a way to look at the finances and so. But if I have to finish the computer engineering, I'll lose more money, meaning I'll have to pay a little bit more to do mobile engineering. And I eventually finished the computer engineering. Guess what? I fell in love with it. And I didn't even proceed to mobile phone engineering. Before the end of my computer engineering, I was already looking into networking. And I really wanted to leave the computer engineering class to just go and do networking. And the man said, calm down, guy. What's wrong with you? Finish this one first. You see that statement that he keep telling me, calm down, calm down, calm down, was really, really important. I mean, I really needed to, I really needed that kind of person in my life at that time, or else I would have done that course halfway, started the next one, and probably jump out of it again halfway. So if you eventually find yourself doing a course and then you're able to like be productive to an extent, my advice is this: do not quit. No, do not quit. You are still going to take a lot of knowledge from that one you thought is a wrong one into the next one that you are looking to. If you should quit that first one, you're going to start something that you're probably going to start what do you call it, a pattern of starting a course and quitting it. So you put it on yourself that I've started this one, let me just get it to the end. After I got it to the end, I can now do this one that I think I'm fascinating about, because that is what I'll put it. That is how I'll put it. So please, whenever you are going into a course and you feel like, oh, I don't want this one again, I want to do the next one, just think about what I just said. Now, once upon a time, the person that have this story just messaged me. That's why I'm going to say this. Once upon a time, somebody came to me and said, I bought into one school, and then we have, I think, about 50 courses, and then you just have to pay a token of, say, 50 or $100. I don't remember, but a lot of courses. And this man was pushing to them that yes, they can learn this, they can learn that. When you jam something like that, I'm not trying to demarket anything. I'm telling you for a fact, you are probably not going to be productive out of that place, because you are being offered too much to consume. See, IT is so interesting that if you're not careful, you will keep pinching everything and you won't get productive from anything. So you really need to be careful. You really, really need to be careful. And I have to say this because that person just messaged me. So when I said this to him, he was like, oh, no, no, no. I just have to buy because this is still what I eventually want to do. Yes, I know. All of us want to. I started from computer engineering. I dived into networking. I dived into graphics, did web, now coding, and I mean, but trust me, this is about 30 years. So it's not something that you will now start UI UX in January, and then by June you are now talking about maybe front end. See, the reality is this: yes, that is a realistic transition, a very realistic transition. But when you do not practice enough, give yourself time enough to be grounded in one, and you're quickly transiting to the next one, you are going to start creating that same pattern all over and over again. And before you know it, you just pinch everything, and you cannot really, really be called an expert of any of these things. And then they will tell you that jack of all trade, master of none. Well, I don't believe in that saying, because I mean, I do more than one thing. I do a lot of things, and I know I do them very well. So the difference is just that the time given to practice and be grounded in each or and every one you want to do, it really matters. You have to be patient and practice very well in all of these things. So as I'm talking to you right now, start thinking through it. Okay, yes, this is how I want to make my journey. Okay, somebody told me that, yes, I'm doing graphics right now and I really want to spread because I need to have multiple income. I said, okay, good, you're doing graphics, great. Have you thought of digital art? Inside of this graphic, have you thought of product design? Have you thought of all of this? These are things that you can really quickly expand yourself into from graphics. I won't say because I have digital science courses. I would ask, okay, now that you're doing graphics, come and join digital science. It's not a bad idea if that is really, really your projection. But if I am pushing it to you because that is what is on my table, then I'm a bad person. It would do you a lot of gain if you quickly expand your wings into things that, for instance, you're already working with graphics, you're working with Adobe, maybe Illustrator, you're working with Adobe Photoshop, and then Adobe also have Figma. Same company, same almost the same interface. Something very likely. It's easier for you to expand like that. And this takes me back to what I said about if you're doing something that is non-tech, maybe a marketer, it is easier for you to switch to digital marketing. A lot of influencers have also asked me this. In fact, I think I see I think I see one or two of you guys. So it's like, okay, I'm into influencing, and I really want to get into tech space. And I'm like, where are you right now? And that's it. You are already in tech space. I have been working with influencers as far back as I think 2015. It was BBM then and BBM channel, and we don't even really see them as influencers. We just tell them that we refer to them as people that have the audience, and then this guy have the audience. Let's use his audience. And these guys are major. They are key of the tech space because for anything to really make that boom in tech space, we need influencers. So if any influencer is asking me, I want to get into the tech space, it's just always a funny statement to me because you're already in the tech space. What you need to do is to spread your wings. Now you already and it was really surprising to me one time when I realized that a lot of our influencers cannot even run a successful and profitable Facebook, what do you call it? Facebook ad, like the monetization. What I figured that our influencers really know how to do is to, use influence, gather the network and push something. Really, we really must understand that you are part and parcel of digital marketing space as an influencer, and it's really easy for you because you already understand the landscape of these apps, these platforms. It's really easier for you to just spread your wings and start doing paid ads on IG, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Quora. Just mention this guy. All of these people have very similar pattern to to run paid ads. And before you know it, you can then jump into Google ads. Maybe you want to try your hands on SEO. That is spreading your wings. You are already in the tech space. So it's not going to now look very hard or something that is alien to you. And then from there you can now look into, okay, I want to, only if you really want to, maybe you're currently an influencer and you really just want to code. You want to code. No, that's a different case. If that is what you want, then go for it. But when influencers just come in and say, I want to get into tech space, I just laugh. So that's that about that. So let me wrap it up with this before I start looking at the questions I'm seeing right now. So okay, two of you guys.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Okay, so let me say this now. Before I wrap this up and then take questions, I'd like to say this. When we get into tech space, and my students that are part of this space, I need you to listen to this. People keep asking me, what next? And and this is what a lot of people that are dragging people into tech space don't tell people. So tech is the oil and gas of everything. Okay, oh, I have heard you. But not everybody is just the way that we've been told that when you go become a lawyer, get out of the school, and then you are so, then you're expecting to make money. No, not everybody that went through a particular tech class would be able to like will be profitable financially from it because of how they've perceived the space. Now, yes, tech is the no oil and gas. In fact, not even tech. To be very specific, data is the new oil and gas. But then, if you now just get into the oil and gas space or the new oil and gas space, and then you want to just start, you expect the money to just start falling from heaven into your pocket. I'm sorry, you will be shocked. First, tech is easy. Tech is easy. Nothing is easy if you do not put your mind at it. And to be very realistic and factual with you, anything that requires consistency is not easy in the way they paint it. So you must be consistent. You just don't get into class and then hey, I finish class, let the money start coming. No, what I was taught in class those years back, I can guarantee you something. I'm not using anything like it again. Let me give you a very good example. When I say this to you, it just shows my age, and I don't like to say it, but let me just give you a very good example. My very first tech class, we use Windows 98 and Windows Me. I'm very sure none of you know about what I'm saying. Okay, so those are the Windows before Windows Vista, Windows 7 that you probably know, and then probably Windows 10 now. So these are like long, far ago, long ago Windows, and these are the OS that was used to teach people like me. So how did I now start? In fact, I don't think we know anything. Was Mac even? I think Mac should be available here then. Yes, I think, yeah, I saw Mac about 2 or 3 years after my class, but I didn't even use it. I was not even opportune to use it. But somehow, along the line in my career, I just want to buy Mac, and I bought Mac, and I'm using it. How? I wasn't taught Mac. Now that is the example I want to give. What you are being taught in class, tech is that so fast that few months after class, you're probably not using maybe 10 or 20% of it. In the next 2, 3 years, everything has changed. You're using something new. So you must be very consistent with your learning. And it's not something you return to class for. No, you don't return to class like that. The moment you have been given the like strong foundation on how to build yourself, then the learning is totally on you. And that's why I laugh when you say, I cannot do online class. Well, you cannot be in tech space. I'm sorry. That's the reality, actually. I won't be disciplined. Well, because you must be disciplined to continue to learn over and over again. I cannot do online class because I cannot be disciplined. More than 50% of tech jobs right now are remote jobs. If you cannot be disciplined in your class, I am very sure, I guarantee you cannot be disciplined with a remote job. So these are the errors or the realities you should face when joining tech. So online, offline, whatever class you want to do, you are going to be saddled with the responsibility of working on yourself consistently. Consistently. We must remind you of that. I remind my students of that. In fact, some of my students that are part of this class, about a year ago, we're talking about bootstrap 4, bootstrap 4. This year is about Bootstrap 5 and we're talking about something else. And that's how funny it is. So if you were in my class last year and you realize that uh, my brother that I sent to your class this year, what your curriculum is different. That's why I do tell our people that our curriculum is dynamic because the industry is moving. We really want to put the latest into our current students. We don't want to be teaching you something that is 5 years old. I mean, it's practically not even impossible self in the tech space because you probably will run it and it will not work, most especially for the code space. So you need to admit that fact as you're coming in that you are saddled with the responsibility to build yourself. And eventually, to build yourself is not really hard if you also accept the reality that okay, I'm just fresh out of the school. I need to just all I need is just something to work on. You can volunteer, do some things for your okay. So people that yeah, it's not free. You can my brother is very, very, very unfortunate if you're trying to get a gig and I am trying to get the same gig and you're listening to me and I'm telling you maybe in my next YouTube or my next Instagram video how much you must collect for maybe a corporate website and I'm setting your own price when you can actually set your own price and at the end of the day you want the two of us to go and get a job and you want that person the client to give me of over 20 something years of experience to leave me and give you that you're just maybe out of the class for like 4 or 5 months. That person would really, really want to joke with their business if you're putting yourself at the same pricing level with me. Because they just look at them, you and like, I mean, we have a lot to lose. Let's just give this guy. So when you get out of your class, you really need to first admit that, okay, good. What I need right now is to build my portfolio. If you have taken a very nice course, you should already have a portfolio that is growing for you as you leave class. But when you also leave class, you also want to keep building that portfolio. You don't want that portfolio to just dry up. You don't want that portfolio to have gaps. So you really need to volunteer. Yes. I mean, when you have people that want to maybe take advantage of you of course, you can say no to that. But you really need to volunteer when you know that this is going to be my own advantage. Volunteer, work with friends, work with partners. I mean, do things and build your portfolio. So I'm going to start responding to questions right now, and I've seen some, but I would let us get more and more of it. So some people are already requesting to be speakers. Let's take one or two or three questions so that we can end this. As I was saying, okay, you can join the um, you can join the WhatsApp group. You can join the WhatsApp group um, via the tweets of this space. You can join the WhatsApp group via the tweet. I'm going to put it in the comment section right now, so you can join the WhatsApp group, and we might be giving out a few scholarships before the resumption of our next session. So you can join the WhatsApp group and let me have your questions. So I've tried to add some of our. Let's see if we can add you again. I've tried to add some people that are requesting to speak. Let's see if we can add you. We have just 10 to 20 minutes to end this space. I don't want it to be too long so that we can move on with our lives. I'm trying to add some people, but then it just keep rolling. Some of those of us that have tried to request for speaker and it's not going through, you can just maybe leave and rejoin the space so that we can re-add you, or we can re-add you or add as a speaker. So that's that. Okay. Mr. Credible, I think you are now added as a speaker. Let's see while we wait for him. Okay, let me look at why are people sending me this thing to my private. Okay, I see some of us join. If I don't have questions in the group, I won't respond to that question. I beg. I don't want DM. I want questions in the group, not in the in my own DM. So I'm going to paste the WhatsApp group link in the comment section so that you can see it if you have not seen it before. So I've posted again. I've posted again. So if I have questions in the group, I will take those questions. If I don't have questions in the group, I'm going to assume that we are good, right? So we are going to open the group for questions right now. So you can let your questions come to the group right now. I think it was an error from us. So we have just 10 minutes. I'm going to respond to just a few questions, and then if you have more questions, you can put it in the group after the space. So right now, I'm only responding to a few questions so that we can put um, an end to the space and then move on with our lives. So let your questions roll. And if you want to ask your question on the space, request to be a speaker so that we can add you and then you can speak and ask your question. Or if you have any comments, let us know as well. We have 8 minutes or less than that. Looks like nobody have questions for us. Okay. If nobody should have questions, okay, some people are requesting now. Okay, Mr. Confidence Innocent, you can speak now.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Confidence.
Fine. As a newbie, I want to ask: is in regards to coding, is JavaScript, HTML, and CSS like is it still a form for someone to learn, or Python is better for? Because I heard you mention data analysis and stuff like that.
Okay, so if you want to code and you really want to lay a good foundation for yourself in the coding space, you have to learn HTML, CSS, and then of course JavaScript. Um, HTML and CSS are like they are front-end languages that are going to really prepare you. You might end up not being a front-end person at the end of the day. You can just be a back-end person at the end of the day. But particularly in my own classes, in our classes at LearnPOD, we even enforce that you have good knowledge of HTML and CSS. It really helps you to learn better a lot. So knowing about HTML and CSS is really important. Now, talking about Python, Python is also a language, is a programming language that is very versatile, that you can translate to eventually. So, if you jump and learn Python, trust me, you are still going to be saddled with that problem of dragging yourself about a few programming concept. Python is a very simple language to learn. It's very easy, but you wouldn't really get yourself going if you've not ground yourself with something like HTML. So it's really important. And HTML is something you can really learn in a few weeks. Like, just I have a student that wanted to get into data science, and I was like, okay, good. And it's a very long journey to that science, actually, if that is what you do, because you need to understand the analytical part of it. You need to understand understand the working with data in terms of figures and stuff like that. But then we need to quickly brush her up, make her understand the HTML, CSS. In fact, I had to make her build some website in HTML, CSS so that she can have grounded knowledge in like coding sense. By the time we got to Python, I had no problem because she was just flowing. She already understood all of you don't have to indent like this. Everything, all of those things have been sorted. So we're dealing with major problems of back end, front end. Let it do work like this. Well, we are not dealing with ABC when we are supposed to be spelling. If that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say is make sure that you ground yourself. It's not going to take you a lot of time. I can promise you that. If you give it at least 1 to 2 hours every day, you can wrap up HTML in a few weeks, HTML, CSS, and you'll be doing wonderfully well. You'll be surprised at what you're doing. And by the time you now transit to something like Python or so, maybe you want to do any other one, you want to do Golang, PHP, anyone you want to do, you eventually want to first do, you will realize that it's very easier. So that's that. I hope I have touched your question properly.
Uh, Actually, I'm really grateful because I've started with the HTML and CSS recently, and
Oh,
I'm trying my best. So
yeah,
the reason why I'm asking the question is because, like you said, from the beginning of this session about like the consumption of the resources you get, like videos
yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah, I've watched a lot of videos and I try to manage, like try to squeeze myself and convince myself to pick JavaScript, HTML, and yes, and that's what I've been doing for some weeks now.
Okay.
I'm, I'm trying to bring myself on that before I jump to Python.
Yeah, that's a very good strategy. It's a very very good one. And if you really want to help yourself, there are a lot of materials that are already organized in a way that you wouldn't have to jump around YouTube. I'm sure you've seen things like that. Maybe a playlist, maybe even if you want to get into a course, buy a course that is going to be very organized so that you don't jump around. You stick to it like a method or a strategy for you to learn. Is just your learning process. At the end of the day, by the time you are building something, I can guarantee you no software engineer in the world can face me and tell me that they don't pick stuff here and there. At that time, you already know what you're doing. When you jump around, when you jump on the wrong one, you know that this one is wrong and you just leave it. So, for the learning process, stick to a material so that you don't give yourself headache. Is really less tedious. Just be very sure that this one I am sticking to is the right one.
Okay, thank you. But where can I get the right materials, just like you said?
What is actually your eventual, or what is the destination of where you want to be? Let me put it that way.
Okay, I actually wanted to, like, where I want the destination I want to.
Like, where are you heading towards this code
I'm,
you're learning?
I'm heading towards cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity. Oh, interesting. Okay. Cybersecurity have different. It is actually it's just the way people think data is about data science only. They don't even know that it's really a wide industry of its own, just like cybersecurity. They are part of cybersecurity that you don't even have to code. In fact, most of it you don't even have to code. And the ones that you have to code, most cases you would have really dived into backend because I mean those are the guys that really bother themselves about the security of the website because of course they work hand in hand with a cybersecurity experts and stuff like that. So there are parts of cybersecurity that you don't even. Coding is not even your business, and there are some that you do briefly, and there are some that you have to do core because of maybe you find yourself in a financial space, so you probably want to make sure that whatever applications you guys are building is hacker proof. So let me put it that way. So I you need to be very sure of which one you're going. But like I said earlier, no knowledge is lost. Trust me. I if somebody had told me that I'm going to be doing what I'm doing today about 20 years ago when I started, I would argue. Trust me, I would tell that person that that person is a liar. So it's really, really, really important that I emphasize that what you're doing right now, no knowledge is lost. You can still eventually find yourself even doing ethical hacking. Because of how you started. So it's really, really a very good start. So in terms of the material, actually, we have a course in our own academy, LearnPOD Academy, that is starting out very soon. We are starting a new session in like a week, and is going to cover front end and eventually covers the back end, and it's going to be part of Python and stuff like that. But the problem is we don't take people into our back end when they are not grounded in HTML. So I would want to advise you to go into front end first. It's going to look like I'm turning you into a full stack web developer, but that is just the way it works with LearnPOD Academy. We always want to make sure that you're grounded in HTML first, so that even when you're working with the front end, eventually you understand the gimmicks, you understand everything that guy is doing. So if you're interested, you can still DM me after this space. Let's take it from there, and then you can now prepare yourself with Python on other stuffs eventually. I'm going to be taking another speaker right now to ask question. Okay, we are 9 minutes after our end time. Or I'll let us take one or more questions here. Okay, I think we have questions in our group as well. So while Mr. Credible, please hold on. Let me respond to two questions. So this man said, how many months does it take to learn backend? Well, on the average, learning backend should take you 6 months to very like you've done something very tangible and you know that yes, in 6 months you should be very okay. Yeah, our course says like 4 months, but we are going to let you practice for like 2 months extra. So in 6 months, it's really, really okay. In fact, in like the fourth month, you should start like practicing with your own projects that you're volunteering for, you're getting from your friends. So another person says, I'm beginning with Java and not having background knowledge in HTML, CSS. I've said this, please try as much as possible to play with HTML, CSS. Just have an idea. But trying your hands out with Java. Java is doing really wonderful things since like 3, 4, 5 years back. And I wouldn't want you to get into Java not knowing the basics of coding. So please understand basics of coding with something that is going to give you less headache, actually. Let me put it that way. So my question is about robotics. What do you think I need and where to start my studies from? Okay, robotics is also okay. Let's first put it into two major parts: the hardware and the software. So for every robot you see, and people don't understand what simple robots could be. I did a project of robotics sometimes in my life. When you're entering all these maybe stores that their sliding door opens by themselves. That is a robot. In as much as it's doing it itself is an artificial intelligence of a small kind of its own. So in robotics we have the hardware, we have the software. So there are some people that are going to put together the diode and everything that is going to make the thing function. And there are some people, just like the self-driving cars. So we have those two parts. So which one are you going for? If you want to go the hardware way, you really be deep in electronics. Really, really be deep. If you want to go the software way, you're coding. But it's usually nice when one have the idea of the other. Very nice. Even in robotics now, we are now introducing they are trying to split it again, the software part, into like three or four. I'm not very I'm not very sure of that, so I wouldn't want to speak about that. So, but you really need to understand that space. Where do you want to go in the robotic space? Eventually, you would you would take like a specialty, but before the specialty, what you understand as robotics from the both end is really important, and that's why I said is hardware and software. Um, okay, this man has left again. I will wait for another person. So I'm taking some of I've seen some of these voice notes that are long. I would I would like to respond to that after this space. So people that want to hear that response can also join the group. It's a little bit long. I don't want us to take too much time. We are about 14 minutes outside of our stop time. So how do I start building my portfolio? Okay. Um, Building your portfolio is really not that hard, actually. Okay, this is how I put this in a real life perspective. First, let's emphasize the importance of portfolio. When you go for an interview and somebody say, "What have you done before?" And then what you have to do is bring out your system and then show them something that runs on your system. Now compare that to what have you done before? Okay, you can go to www.myportfolio.com/portfolio, and that person runs your project on his or her system. That carries more weight. So that is the importance of portfolio. It can go where you are having an online portfolio. It can go where you are not. Now, that kind of help you when you've not have this really robust career. Maybe when somebody calls me and say, "Oh, Mr. Elijah, I want to do so thing. Can you do it for us?" And that person say, "Can I see your portfolio?" I'm not going to, in this essence, I'm probably not going to be sending that person my own portfolio. I'm going to be sending a job that I've done that is likely or very close to that prospect's job. And that is really me playing with that prospect's head that I can look, just forget every other person. I've done it before, I can do it again. So it makes a lot. So when I see creative putting their portfolio on their system and they have to carry it to a client to show them is not carrying weight. There is a sense in their head that he's not doing job for people, it's just for himself. Even if those jobs are for yourself, if those jobs are demo jobs, if those jobs are things that you're just using to practice, post them online, get them on a link, send them as a portfolio, let them see it on their own device. It's really important. Now, how do you build your portfolio? Volunteer. See, I keep saying whenever I see people, the pros in quotes, that I would say, "Hey, you are not cheap, you are uncle, auntie, you are still cheap." Yes, cheap can be relative. How cheap do you want to go is now the problem. You have to put up a lot. Okay, for those of us that know Fiverr, if you want to sell on Fiverr, you can sell a particular service for $5 on Fiverr as a newbie. And a pro on Fiverr can sell the same service for $1,000. The difference is the label the two of you are carrying. One is showing that he has done a lot of job. The other one is showing that I've not even done anything. And trust me, people will still put money on that $1,000, as well as some people will still risk their money and put on the $5. It's easier for me to risk $5, $10 on a starter than for me to risk $1,000 when a starter is trying to push themselves as a pro. So, to build your portfolio, you need to start humble. You need to start humble. Yes, you need to start humble so that you can have something in your portfolio. What I always want people for is when people come and start saying, I'm going to help you, I want to show you wrong for people like that, because eventually they are going to give you promises. So, when you're doing voluntary jobs, when you're doing free jobs, you're doing it because you want to do it, not because that person is making you do it. That factor is very important, because if they make you do it, you are not going to be happy with yourself, and you probably don't want to try it again, and you'll not be able to build a portfolio. Let me give a very short story. Some time ago, a friend came to me and wanted to build a news website, and I really want to dive into the media space, and I was unable to dive because I didn't have a way to get into the media space. But I was just preparing myself. So this friend said, I want to do this. And that then it was just Linda KG. All of our contemporary news websites or the old guys don't have their websites there. They just have papers. So long story short, I just got, and I was already a pro. I've already been seen as pro. I've done some international jobs. As at that time, take notes. I've done some international jobs. As at that time, I am already doing fine. But I want to divert into a new industry. And I needed I needed that, like that kind of job in my portfolio to pitch. So December of a particular year, a friend came to me and said, please do this thing for me now. He couldn't afford me because I wasn't a learner then. I'm already developing stuffs. And I had to collect only what would cost me to launch that project online. Only because he couldn't afford me. I wanted that project on my portfolio. He needed it. And I know that this guy is going to keep it online for a while. So we did it. I did it in December. January, February, I was called by one of the biggest media houses in Nigeria. And the first question in the interview was, have you done anything like this before? I'm sure all of you are smiling. And that's it. Because I was preparing my portfolio for something I am pushing towards. Yes, luck happens, but if you're not preparing for the luck, because the way the way the media house came knocking at my door was luck. But if I had not really pushed and wanted to be and be preparing myself and preparing my portfolio, maybe the interview wouldn't have turned into a gist. Because that was the moment I was able to just tender that project, that this is it. I've done it before, a news website. The interviewer started gisting and we were just having fun. Because the guy was just like, I've seen what I'm looking for. And after our gist, do you know so place? See me there tomorrow. And that was it. And that was how I started my media house journey. So building your portfolio is not hard if you're not really too financial conscious. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't take money seriously. No. When you know that you cannot afford but build this project, please do. But when you know that I am positioning myself and I need this project, you really need to adjust so that you can use that project to build your portfolio. And like I said, volunteer for your church, volunteer for your mosque, volunteer for your community. Do stuff, build projects. They are going to be in your portfolio. A lot will die. Yes, a lot of them will die, but not all of them will die. Those that are remaining will be the ones that will survive your portfolio. So that's that about that. Okay, some people are really answering each other. My question about robotics and something like that. Okay, I think I've answered that. First, you need to understand, are you going to the programming part or are you going into the algorithm part? It's two major parts, and the two parts are very interesting. I have people that have really done it around me. Majorly with what's another robotics that I really fell in love with? Drone. Yes, yeah, maybe you don't know that we are already making some really self driving drones, and are really great. So, and the electronic parts are side of the project are really important too. So, for a person who is already a coder, that is the person is already building projects. As we know, the society of today require a person to have a degree. What degree course would you advise that kind of person to go in order to keep? Very good question. I would just use this to finish up, and we'll take more question in the group. So this one about the society of today, a lot of people have preached. They are not wrong. A lot of people have preached that you don't need a degree, and that's the truth. A lot of people have preached, and that's the truth, that you don't need a degree. That's the truth. Funny enough, people like me have not been able to tender my certificates, even if I went to school, for some reason. Yeah, so it is very true that in the tech space, you don't need a degree. But then, to climb in a corporate space, quote me, climb, that word, climb. If you just want to get your hands dirty and remain maybe a senior developer for a long time, you probably will not need any degree. But by the time opportunities of becoming a CTO is showing face, well, things are changing, but I'm not sure how fast. You would need some degrees, if not second degree. Yes, these are realities that have catch up with people like us. That for you to climb in the corporate space, degree is really important, and you can get either of computer science or computer engineering. Now, before you go to school, let me just prepare you. Anywhere in the world, I have students in Washington University, I have students everywhere in the world. I have students, my students are doing masters in the UK right now, and they have confirmed from all of their schools, Germany, UK, anywhere you want to say it. You might be disappointed when you get to class and you feel like, oh, but I thought we were supposed to be doing better projects. Okay, so what you are being taught in school, the way the way the school, the contemporary school is built is different from the way the professional school or the professional courses classes are built. So if you've been doing professional course all your life, apart from maybe your college, you might find it a little bit hard. But I'm going to implore you to stick through and make sure you finish, because I'm not sure when a school dropout is going to be elevated from senior developer to the CEO of a startup that is not your own. So I'm not sure. It's changing. I mean, there are a lot of good mentions that are happening. A lot of good mentions, but as it stands right now, the people that are going to make the decisions are people with certificates, and it's very important that you know that when you go to school and get your degree, it is not a waste. So you can do either of computer science. In fact, computer science is really okay. But then if you feel like you are very good, you want to do your mathematics is much more stronger, you can do computer science and computer engineering, because I mean you are going to deal with a lot of electronics. In fact, if you're looking into robotics, maybe you should just go into engineering. It's going to prepare you much better. Maybe you want to do your own self-driving car in the future. Engineering is going to prepare you much better because most of what you're going to pick in the sciences class, you've already picked it in your professional courses. So that's that about that. We are going to call it yes, Ridola. I'm going to attend to your. I mean, I don't want to just go mute for 3 minutes listening to that voice note. Every other person that wants to ask questions can join on the WhatsApp group. We are going to continue from there. Thank you, and thank you once again. We are going to have this some other time. We are going to announce it in the group, and of course, I'm going to tweet it from my handle. You can follow me, follow LearnPOD, so that you can know when we are tweeting this again. We are doing this again rather. So